Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Welcome and good evening. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and we're here tonight to fight CPS and stop taking our children. You just heard from my attorney, Vincent W. Davis. He's talking about this Saturday, a very important, so a couple days from now, a very important question and answer session. So make a plan on joining him Saturday at 10 o'clock. It'll repeat again at the end of my podcast. Now, you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I'm glad you did. You came to the room that's live. And in this room, you can do emojis and check the subscribe button and the notification button. And really want to help you and warmly welcome you about dealing with the child protection system. That's what I call CPS, the child protection system. Now, I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. I broadcast at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time and 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time, 1 hour each. And there's some exceptions on the time. Tomorrow, this Friday, the 22nd, I will come on a couple hours early so I could attend a playoff football game. It's Friday Night Lights, high school football. My son's school's in the semifinals, so you need to drive out there and support the team and the school and enjoy the game. That's the main thing. So I'll be coming on at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. I'll be coming on, 4 hours early. 4 hours early. So it'll be an early afternoon broadcast or afternoon podcast. And also this Saturday and Sunday, I'll be on at 8 o'clock. Saturday, I come on a couple hours early to give time for people to watch Vincent Davis. And on Sunday, I go to church. So those are my differences in the time. So I hope that you make it to my podcast all right. And I'm so glad that you come into this room. Now, you're probably wondering who I am. Well, I'm a father, a family man. I've been married 42 years. I have 6 children, 3 older ones and 3 younger ones. And I've worked hard all my life. And unfortunately, I got caught up in the child protection system like you all. And it was disaster for me. I did not have an attorney. I used a court-appointed attorney, which was terrible. And then on top of that, I did not research or know anything about the child protection system. Now, what I call the child protection system is a government agency, part of social services, that's supposed to protect our children. It's mandated by Congress to protect our children from neglect and abuse. Neglect and abuse. Furthermore, if a family is in need of shelter, food, clothing, transportation, educational, or medical, and even find a job, they're supposed to help you. Furthermore, if they need to break your family apart because the children are in imminent danger, they will, and they're supposed to bring the family back together, called family reunification. That's real important. And I say all this is what they're supposed to do. And all the entities out there, they may have different acronyms. Like I know in Arizona's Department of Children's Services, DCS. Even next door from Orange County to LA County, it's Department of Children, Family, and Services, DCFS. And in Orange County, it's Child Protection Services, CPS. So instead of sitting here trying to tell which one it is, I just say it's CPS. The Child Protection System includes all the agencies, the county agencies in every state that's supposed to protect our children from neglect or abuse. And the reason why I say family reunification is important because studies have shown the best parents are the biological parents. The best parents are the biological parents. Now, there's 4 ways to interact with this podcast. One way is just in this room right here. I've already talked about it. The second way is to text messages. They can either be a question or a comment about CPS. And all I ask is you put your name, your first name, the city. Where did it go? I'm having trouble with my computer still. The city or the county your case is in, and the state. Now, further ask, you put in the country because a lot of you are from different countries that call in, which is great. I love to talk to everyone here. This morning, I had a very lady with a shocking story. She was in South Africa in the province called the North Cape. There are 9 provinces in South Africa, and she's the one called the North Cape. And she tried to call in, but had some issues with the phone there. So she wanted to share her story, and she talked a good deal this morning. So I do say countries because a lot of you, I want to help you, even if you're out of the United States. Because I've talked to already 17 countries and 50 states, including Washington, D.C. I've talked to Canada, all the provinces, not all the provinces, but 4 of the provinces there. I've talked 2 of the states of Australia, New Zealand. It goes on, from Bangladesh to India, to the Middle East, to Africa, to North America, Europe, and South America. So try to text that comment with there and also try to tell you as much as you can tell about your CPS case. Try to be complete with it. Now, the third way is you can be a guest on my podcast. To be a guest on my podcast, all you have to do is pick a show, and there's 14 of them, and email to Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace works hard behind the scenes. I thank her for what she does. So you go to Grace at vincentwdavis.com and you email her, and she'll send you back with the link. And the link is good to get on the show. If you get bumped off, use that link again because it's good for the life of the show. And she'll help you what to do and not to do on the podcast. So that is really important there. Hi, Natalie. Oh, it's so good to hear from you. Natalie is a single mom from North Hollywood, California. She comes to my show and helps me talk about issues and comes up with things that really help the show. She has a son that's with her uncle, who's her mother's brother, and her son is with him, and she's lost her 2 girls to foster care. Unfortunately, she had a horrible story where she was arrested because they thought she was mentally ill, and they based it on a letter she was trying to show them and took her in for 72 hours, found nothing wrong with her. Meanwhile, her kids were taken by the police and dumped in the CPS. And, as it says, is that she was able to put her son with family members, but her 2 daughters were foster cared out, and now she doesn't see them. And her son is so far, he's in Washington. So it's really hard for Natalie. She tries to do so much. She's, a hard time like all of us. She has a hard time in life. And so I'm so glad that she joins me in the podcast and interact, and so forth. I know what it is. Today she said she was getting cash for her bottles. I have to do the same thing. Money is not easy to come by, and I know how you all are. I'm here to help you with my experiences in CPS and share with you what other people have. I've talked to over 600 people. So I said the third thing is to talk, is to be a guest. Oh boy, things are bouncing in there. Excuse me when they are in there. So that's the third way. The fourth way is to call in. And my number is 626-698-0990. And it's available now. Natalie talked this morning, and so did Faye from Richmond, Kentucky. And I hope she joins us too. And um, you can call me during the show. But if you call me before the show, after the show, I can't talk to you. So it's really important you call during the show. One thing nice, whether you're a guest or talk on my phone, you get a free 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis, who will talk to you for a private Zoom meeting with him for free. All you need to do is I'll ask you, would you like that? And if so, then I'm going to ask you your complete name, your email, and your phone number. You send it to me, you text it to me at that number, 626-698-0990, and then I forward it on to my show producer, Grace, who will get you set up with Mr. Davis. So that's exciting news. Now, if you want to talk longer than 15 minutes, I have a special arrangement with Mr. Davis that he will talk to you for 30 minutes, private Zoom consultation. And all you have to do is go to the website and reserve a time that works for you and him. And then you pay $60 with your credit card. So that's $60 for 30 minutes. You get a free 15-minute for either being as a guest on my podcast or a call in on the phone. And 30 minutes for $60 by going on that website that's going across the bottom of my screen. Now, there's another number there, 888-888-6582. That number there is the number of my office, Vincent's office, Vincent W. Davis Associates, or Vincent Davis Associates. And you can call in there. If you know you already made up and you want to retain Vincent Davis, you can call him, make sure you tell him that I sent you, and you can retain him. Also, if you need other areas of expertise in law, like if you have needs for bankruptcy or real estate or foreclosure or criminal or divorce, anything that deals with law, he has an attorney that can help you out. The area that you're in is called dependency law. It's juvenile family dependency law. That's what Mr. Davis is trained in. And that is what he can help you with because he's been doing it for 35 years. And he has fought CPS. In fact, he's a trial attorney. And furthermore, he's done civil lawsuits against CPS. After your case is closed, you can sue CPS for violating your Constitution or civil rights. And if they did other things too. So you can sue them, and he's won millions of dollars both in state and federal courts. So he's the real deal. He's out of Arcadia is his office, but he has cases in Orange County, LA County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, and then he has a case in Northern California right now and another case in Oklahoma. So he'll go to all the states, everything. So that's an easy way there. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about there. Now, there are 5 rules or things that have come up with that will help your case. I wish I knew about them myself. I wish I had followed them because when I got my case, it was a disaster. I didn't know what to do. It first started off for 5 years of answering phone calls or dropping by the child protection system, would drop by the social workers and share me accusations are coming in from my in-laws. They're my family, my relatives, my wife's parents, and her 3 sisters and brothers were calling in and saying we weren't taking care of the kids. And it was sad. It was really, really sad. And so That went on for 5 years, and finally they got frustrated, and they wanted to um, inspect my home. Now they've been to my home before and didn't find anything wrong. At that time, I did not know the rules. You don't allow them in your home. You don't allow them to come in, and don't answer the door. But unfortunately, they got a hold of the local police, and they got a detective who kind of followed where I would go. And then one day I was picking up my son at school, and the detective had me pull over by erroneous traffic violation. And so he could talk to me. He ordered me to go to my house and open up. It wasn't will you or anything like that. And if I knew the law, then I could have told him, do you have a warrant? Because you're not getting in my house without a warrant. I'm not giving you permission, and you're not getting in. And I did not know that. See, there's a thing called a warrant that I had to learn about. So my case got worse because I was naive. I allowed them to see my place. Unfortunately, what they found, they're always in a fishing thing, is they found that I was negligent, me and my wife negligence, because unfortunately my dad had died, my mother was dying, and I was taking their belongings and sending them off to families and friends. I used my our living room, as a sorting area. It was not endangering anybody, but they thought our kids were in danger by that, even though they had their own bedrooms and the rest of the house wasn't cluttered. And furthermore, when my kids were in school, they took them. They said they're in danger. Now, I don't know how they're in danger. One was going to a private school, and two of them were going to a public schools, and both schools were good. Both schools, all the schools are good. I lived in a very beautiful home, a mile of the beach, a six-figure home, and no, seven-figure home. It was a seven-figure, yeah, seven-figure home. Unfortunately, I had to sell it because I need money to hire Vincent Davis. I started off, and since we're talking about my rules, rule number one is you get an attorney. Well, I thought I could use the court-appointed attorney. Everybody does. Problem being is that they're not trained in the area that you got to be in. They're only trained in criminal law. They're brand new attorneys, and they have a caseload of 30 more clients. They won't have time for your case. They won't fight on your case, and the next thing you know, your children will be gone. That's how fast it happens. Now, the CPS in Orange County and LA County is very corrupt. I know firsthand from Orange County. They took my children, and they were getting $20,000 per child. That's $60,000 per month. That's a lot of money that they were getting. And they automatically put them in foster care. They did not, I was able to get a month with them with our family members, but that was really hard. They're really bad. They lie to you, and they build your hearts up, and they tear you apart. CPS is very corrupt in Orange County and LA County and San Bernardino or Riverside. It seems like California has a bad case of CPS, and they're corrupt everywhere. And 600 people, over 600 people will tell you. I've only had 3 social workers on my podcast, and one was Carol from Maryland. She was great. Another one from Iowa, another one from Illinois. And these 3 social workers told me what they did. But the majority of the people in the cases I heard, CPS took them. And it's heartbroken what they did to their children, did to the families, and break them apart. They certainly aren't doing family reunification. And they found the greed of money that's taken over them. The director of CPS in Orange County works out of the Taj Mahal. It's a 13-story building that looked like the Emerald City in the Wizard of Oz. And, the money is not where it should be. The money should be spent on the children, not on getting bonuses and incentive checks to social workers who were not trained or educated or even have a license. Social workers in the Orange County, at the age of 23, had so much power. They don't know how to take care of families or unification. They don't believe in family reunification. So I'm sad to say that it was a hard thing. It was a hard thing. So that rule number one is I say you need to get an attorney and you need to get a family a juvenile dependency attorney, one that has a background in that. So when you're asking for attorneys out there, your first question should be, are you a juvenile family dependency attorney? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. The second question is, have you ever done a lawsuit, a civil lawsuit against a CPS? And if the answer is yes, then you found yourself an attorney you want to try to work with and work with their fees and so forth. Now, Mr. Davis is all that. And, you should consider maybe retaining him. I did, but I had to sell my home to do so. It takes a lot of money. And I know that most of you don't have that. That's the sad part. That's the downside. I didn't either. When I lost my job in 2010, my whole world turned upside down. I was 60 years old. I've been working for 45 years, and I lost my job through no fault of my own. And I've found work since then, but I don't have a steady career job at the moment. I'm looking. But because of my age, it gets harder and harder. I'm 75, so now I'm a dinosaur. And, 15 years ago, it was hard then. Now it's even doubly hard. Life insurance has run out at age 80. They start talking about not driving a car at age 80. It's really sad how they have the deal. And I don't think I am 75. I don't think I'm 65. I don't think I'm 55. I think I'm close to maybe 45 is how I feel and how my shape is and stuff. But that doesn't seem to make a difference on getting jobs. So it is hard there. Now, Natalie said some things in the room I should say there. The weather was cold. Yes, we're starting to have our winters. And I had to turn the heater on, regrettably, because it's going to be expensive. Yes, they get bonuses for more kids in foster care. Natalie would tell you about President Clinton in 1997. They have the Incentive Act where they get bonuses for getting more children adopted into foster care. And that's not what should be. That's not so should be. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to get a hold of Faye to see if maybe she can join the room. Rule number 2 is a notebook. And it's actually organizing your paperwork. That's what's so bad. That's what's so bad. Okay. So that rule number 2 is organizing your paperwork, your documents. Get a notebook, get subject tabs, 3 ringers. And one of the most important document is called the time log incident. You have many incidents from the police, from the social workers, from parents, from school people, from your kids, whatever. You want to record all the incidents. You want to document your case. And so all you need to do is get that sheet of notebook paper. First line is going to be the date, the time, the location, and who called. I mean, who was involved. in that incident. And then the incident is a summary in one sentence of what the incident's about. And on the third line, you want to put a summary of how the outcome of the incident was. And that is a really important document. Not only do you put your course completion, your parent classes, your program classes, and all the things there, you organize your court report stuff. That organizing paperwork is very important. 3 is you don't allow people into your home. You don't talk to them, and you don't let them take your children. Best thing to do is don't answer the door. Too many people are being killed by answering the door. I've had 3 or 4 people killed recently by just answering the door. They had suspected domestic violence, and they shoot first. And of course, at point blank, it's hard with 5 rounds of ammunition in your chest to survive. And so I'm telling you, do not answer the door. Now, they'll leave a card or sometimes a notice on your door, or they'll call you. So don't worry. But you can't ignore them for long because they do have an allegation they need to investigate on. So what you can do is call them and say you want to have your attorney present, and then you can meet at McDonald's or Starbucks. Some place is a public place where you record everything. See, a lot of places, if they're private, you can't record them unless they give you permission. Some states won't let you do that. So it's the best to take to a public area like McDonald's or Starbucks. It's a neutral site, and it's good enough to talk there. Maybe they'll buy you a cup of coffee or a soda drink. So rule number 3, as I say, is you do not talk to social workers, or please don't let them take your children, let them in there. Because if you do, they're fishing, and they'll find something wrong with your home and then take your kids away. Also, they need to have a warrant or your permission, or domestic violence needs to be taking place. Meaning, if you give them permission to come in your home and take your children, then you've done it. You give them permission. You don't need to do that. You don't need to go to their office either. And if there is arguing going on, that's wrong. That's a no-no with children. But even still, there should be no violence. If violence is happening, then the police and the social workers will come into the home. Lastly, is something called a warrant I mentioned about. Be careful. A warrant is a special court document signed by a judge that they have to get that allows them to do what says on the warrant. It's really important that all that says in the warrant what they can do. They can take your child, or they cannot take your child. So, those are the ways is, but don't live in the home. If you happen to see them outside, the best thing to tell them is, hey, look, this is a legal matter. I need to have my attorney present. We can meet another time, get their name and number, and then you can call them and set up that time. But whatever you do, don't talk to them, because anything you say will use against you. That was my mistake, because I talked to them and I was very upfront with it and so forth. So that is one thing that you need to really be careful on. Now, there's also medical trafficking you got to watch out. That's where if your child needs to go to urgent care or emergency, or you're pregnant and you're expecting a baby, you have to go to the hospital and have the baby, they are now taking away children, newborn babies, right out of the mother's arms, and children. So you got to be careful. Don't let them do that. If they have to be in the room you're in, ask them to leave. You're entitled to privacy in your case. You're entitled to privacy. So be careful of medical trafficking, because they will take your child. They will do that. Now, rule number 4 is that you need to research the internet about your CPS case. You need to know everything there is about it. You got to spend 60 hours. If you spend 6 hours, you should have found something. Also, it's very important you word your phrase right when you search for it. It's always the city, the state, or if you're in a country, it's going to be the city and the country. And then you type the letters CPS. Then after that, you put what you're looking for in the CPS. Like, say you're looking for the handbook and procedures of CPS, or you're looking for the 388 motion, or the ICWA Act of 1978, or you're looking for anything else like a 388 motion where you open a case for new evidence. So that's what you need to do. Spend good 60 hours researching it. And lastly, is rule 5 is you take all the important documents, make copies, whatever not, and then put them in a folder. Things like birth certificates, things like marriage certificates, your kids' school records or grade reports, any incidents with mental health or anything should be included, doctors' stuff, their shot cards, um, your marriage license, because they're going to question whether you're married to the person. So all those things you should put in a folder and save because you'll need them later on. So the case will be lengthy. The case will be lengthy. So that's my 5 rules, and I've told you now how they interact in this podcast. So we're halfway through here, and now it's the time that we need to talk. We need to talk, and so anybody's welcome to call in, including you, Natalie, if you have something you wanted to say. I enjoy having you on the show. Now we can talk about the application called Core's Digest, which is questions and answers about CPS cases. It's kind of interesting, and some of you may have different answers than the outcome. There's that. Also, I have these topics loaded that I can talk about almost anything, whether it's your state or anything like that. I have examples I can tell you about. I can talk to you more about my case. It's pretty much open the way you want to make this podcast. It's up to you how you want to make this podcast work for you. So I've reached out to Faye tonight. If you're listening, Faye, I'd love to hear from you. Natalie, if you'd like to call in again, it's all right to call in, and we can talk about issues. Okay, Natalie, I'm happy to have you call in. You're a lifesaver because my voice gets very monotonous. So, ugh, how can chocolate milk go bad? Jeez. I bought this chocolate milk on sale and it's already bad. Now my number's up 626-698-0990. I use Vonage because the phone application is an internet application. So that is said where I use that. So and I'm hoping to hear from the lady from South Africa. Now let's see who this is. Good evening, Bob Pace here.
Good evening, Bob. Hi, it's Natalia.
Hi, Natalia. Welcome and welcome again.
Welcome.
It's good to hear from you from West Hollywood, California. Yeah. Did I cover your case pretty well tonight?
Oh yeah, I mean, you did. I mean, but my son was medically trafficked also.
Oh, he was. What was the reason why they medically trafficked him? Hi, son. Good to see you, Robert. Good night.
Hi, son.
That's my son. He just going to work.
Well, Christoph, he was my son. He was a newborn and he was premature in a NICU, but he wasn't too bad. So I already had an open case. So my daughters, my 2 daughters, and so he was taken out of the hospital, like after he was finished from the NICU.
Well, why was he taken? And I know you were arrested, and then the children were put in the police.
So originally, I had 2 little girls. So
right.
Later, I got pregnant with my son when my daughters were like 6 years old.
Oh, okay.
7 years old.
So your son came later in life, and so they did do medical trafficking there because you went in to have your baby. And why did they take your baby? What was it so bad you're doing in the hospital?
I wasn't doing anything bad. I was just telling them I have my daughters and I need to see them. And then they took it the wrong way. And
No, I'm talking about you when you had your son. You said they took him from you when you were in the hospital.
They took him, yeah, because when you have an open case, they have to take the baby.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, or maybe you did know, or maybe you didn't know, anybody that has a case of CPS, they tell you at the very beginning of the case, you're not supposed to have other children. And if you have other children, they will take them. And that right there concretes what they do. If you have a case in CPS, you're not supposed to get pregnant. Did they tell you that in the beginning?
No.
Wow. They have it in their handbook and procedures that any woman that gets pregnant during an open case will automatically turn over their infant that's born to CPS.
Well, the hospital didn't know until like much later, because I told them I have to see my daughters. I have to go on a visit, and then that triggered them. So that's why.
So when you had your son in the hospital, they didn't know anything, right?
They didn't know anything till much later.
So where was the child? Where was your son at the time they came? I know with you, you were arrested that night, and your daughters were placed at the police station. But where was your son?
Is my daughter? What? I can't hear you. Huh?
Okay, I'll try again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can, Bob. Thank you.
Okay. What I meant to say is that you had an open case because of your daughters.
Yes.
All right. You were arrested, and your daughters were placed with the police in 72 hours. Now, later, you have a son, and you took your son home.
I didn't. I didn't have the ability.
I'm totally confused. So you're having your son in the hospital, and you tell the hospital, what did you tell them?
Because he was in the NICU, and I said I can't come all the time to visit. I have to go see my daughters on a visit.
They kicked you out of the hospital then?
They took him out of the hospital, yes.
Now, who was watching?
Because he was in the NICU.
Who was watching your daughters?
The woman that had him, the foster parent.
Oh, so your daughters already were gone.
Right.
Wow. So you have your son, but he has to stay in special care with special needs, and you go home and visit him, right?
Yeah, we'll go in the hospital and visit him.
And then how long did that go on before CPS took him from you?
That was he was about a month old.
Okay.
Almost.
So for a little while, you had a relationship with your son, but then a month later, they decided to take him and put him into foster care.
Yes.
And was there any attempt at all when you sat down with the child protection workers to put him with a family member?
No, they didn't do that. We had to tell them that.
They never told you to get a list of names, did they?
No.
You see, technically, the CPS, the Child Protection System, is supposed to inform the parents that their first priority is to put the kids with family members. Now, in my case, it was my wife's sister and husband took our 3 children in, but they thought it was going to be a short case, and 2 months elapsed, and they were burnt out taking care of our kids. You see, people don't realize there's a lot that we did as parents to go in to take our kids. I would take them to school, or my wife would take them to school and pick them up. We would go to open houses and parent-teacher conferences. We mingled with them in scouting and sports like AYSO soccer and the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. So we did a lot with our kids. In fact, we never had a date, husband-wife date, because our dates always consisted of the kids, and our easiest way to have entertainment was Disneyland, because at that time, Disneyland season passes were affordable. And so it was...
the Disneyland is expensive. It's like, what, $5,000 to go or whatever.
Well, it's really ridiculous. I agree with what you're saying there. But anyway, so they took your son and put him into foster care and never gave you the opportunity to stay with a family member. So how did you get him?
He didn't give me the opportunity lady, because yeah, and the woman that had him, she was not very like you always explain that they're not very well trained. When he
Right,
was 4 months
right.
old, he did not have solid food in his system.
Well, so what? How were you able to get him to your uncle, your wife's
Well, my uncle
brother?
is an anesthesiologist. Okay, he's a doctor, so he lives out in Washington, 4 hours away from Portland, and so next to Richland, Richland, Washington.
Okay, and then
Anyway, in Kennewick.
but you're down. But you're down in North Hollywood. So how did they
I'm
get?
in West Hollywood, yes. So the story of my uncle is yes, he traveled. He went there to take his licensing. It was much easier, and he liked it. He had a friend that was living there, and he started living there with like a roommate at like another doctor, and then finally he settled there in Washington.
Okay.
But he did live with my mom for quite some time, and then he studied in Mexico to get his medical degree.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, so anyhow,
And
the
you
thing
did
is,
not.
how
You
they
did
got
not
to
get.
my uncle,
Yeah. You didn't.
basically, what?
Well, okay. I was just trying. If he's in foster care, why did they shift him to a family member?
Because my attorney asked us, do you have anybody out of state?
Okay.
Because the judge, she doesn't want to return the baby.
Why?
Because she thought it was fruitless for me to have my son.
What was her rationale for you that not have your son?
Because she didn't have a reason. It was just like because she terminated my reunification with my daughter, so she thought that because he should be with strangers at that moment. So basically, my attorney said no. He argued with. He said no. He has to be with his mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then because she was convinced in her mind that I was not mentally fit.
Yeah. Wow.
Because she was biased. Very biased, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
She was biased, and so my brother told my attorney that we have an uncle, he lives in Washington. And he has children, but they're grown up now. They're like in high school and entering college. And he likes to have children a lot. But it's kind of hard for him because he's a doctor. But then my attorney said, Mike, that's perfect. We can get the baby there away from these people because they're actually neglecting your baby, which you know that. And then, so that's what happened. It was a process. So my uncle had to take foster classes. They will not give the baby to him without having a foster class.
Wow.
It all be checked out. He had to show his medical license. His even his immigrant naturalization papers.
Wow.
We had to prove everything, you know. And then my uncle was excited. He came down to visit the baby. He really loved him, and then so I had to give him my baby.
Well, what was the falling apart that you and your uncle had?
I didn't really have a falling apart with him. What happened was my mom, she loaned my other uncle a lot of money, and he had some money problems with the state. He had a business, so he wasn't like he was not paying his taxes and things like that. So he had to pay this money back, and my mom loaned him the money. And then so what happened is my mom had a
Okay, I had to talk to my son. I had my mic muted. Was my mic muted?
I think so.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure it's working. My computer is really a mess. I use CC Cleaner to help with the register and the other problems I have with updating drivers and stuff. But ever since I have a link to um, the SteamYard application, I can't use it because it erases the link, and then I can't get on myself, and I have to send an email, and the email, since the owner of the program is Vincent Davis, goes to his email, and so the office has to open up Vincent Davis's email and get me the password so I can get logged on. It's a real lengthy process.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but
It's a lot of work on the computer.
yeah, I know
I
that.
do have a laptop, but I found it.
Oh, that's good. How did you find your laptop?
One day I was out looking for bottles, and it was in the big bin, and
Oh.
in its briefcase. It's a Lenovo. No, I don't know. No, it's a Dell, the touchscreen one.
Okay,
So I have.
it sounds good.
Yeah, it's
I'm
good.
glad. I'm glad you did. Question for you.
Yeah.
How did you?
Yes.
I'm trying to think now. I lost my train of thought here. Oh, when your parental rights were terminated, did your attorney
You're right.
do an appeal?
Yeah, we filed an appeal.
And what happened with the appeal?
Well, so basically, the Court of Appeal says they compared my case to another case, which is precedence to another case, but it does not bear any like structure to mine.
Yeah.
So we argued about the ICPC
Okay.
and how the Section 309 how all the relatives have priority.
Uh-huh.
And then my rights were violated for that because because the relatives are first in line, and also I also relinquished my rights, but they didn't want to do that.
Now, how come you relinquish your rights? Why'd they do that?
Because I didn't want my parental rights to be terminated by the court.
Okay.
So I wanted my uncle to just take my daughters right away. I didn't want a 2-2 hearing, but she scheduled it anyway.
Okay.
The judge.
All right. Okay.
There's a parental rights hearing. So then she said even on record that she would wait for the ICPC from my uncle.
Okay.
So my daughters could, be placed with them.
Okay.
But she said, well, it's not here, which is a lie because it was sent. I talked to the social worker in Washington, and then when I visited my son on the phone, and she sent it really right away, and then so the judge just separated my daughters, claiming that they were comfortable to be with strangers, and that's a violation of the law.
Okay.
Comfortability doesn't have to do, it has to be the best interest of the child, and also relatives always come first, no matter what.
Yep.
I mean, you could be comfortable all day at your friend's house, but he's not your relative.
Yeah.
To take care of you.
Right. Righto.
So that's what she did, and so what she does is the judge, she always separates the kids no matter what.
Okay.
Which is her pattern.
All right.
I've only seen this judge give one child back.
Okay.
That's when I was out in the court.
All right. Well, we're getting close to 8 o'clock, and my podcast goes to 8. What question do you have, or what would you like to further talk about?
I think the most important thing we should talk about is the relative placement. How important that is.
Well,
because, like you said, yeah. Because and also the ICPC, because that was the only way that the transfer of the children.
Well, that is special
from
needs
out of
children. The
and
ICPC,
special needs.
which is the International Placement of Children. Oh boy, I always forget this one.
Interstate Compact.
Interstate
Placement.
Placement. What's the other part?
Yeah, Interstate Compact Agreement.
Okay, Interstate Compact Agreement. That's where a child is being transferred from one state to another, and they don't get lost in the system. And it's usually for special needs children. Say the facility in one state can't handle it, so they have to go to another state. And so that's what that is all about. And the other thing you were saying was, I forgot now. You wanted to say that we need to talk further.
Well, we have to see what's more. I always wonder, like when I see children, how do they stay like the infants? There's like a couple infants. I see people with their infants. Like how do the medical trafficking? It's like they want to, like, they come target people for some reason when it's women who just give birth for some reason, and it's just really horrible because
that's in the medical trafficking, and what they do is that they'll come in with a policeman and want to rip the child from the mother, and the umbilical cord still attached. I've heard of some extreme stories, and what you have to do is ahead of time you're going to create a birthing there, and you want to make sure that you have instruction who could come in and who can't come in. And so you don't want to allow the policeman or the social worker, and you can also tell the hospital staff they're not supposed to come in here. They need a court warrant, and they'll have to wait outside in the lobby because you don't want to talk to them anyway.
That's true, but it's really strange how the hospitals, they ask you all these questions when you give birth.
Well, what's happened is that social workers from the child protection system is working now in the hospitals.
Right.
I noticed that when I take my children, and when I gone in, there's this lady that asks all these questions, and she's not on hospital staff. She's actually assigned. They're hoping to get cases done because there's more money in their coffers. See, the $1 trillion business, They got to support. They got to support the $1 trillion business.
They have to do all these, and it's just things because they want that money, and they want to get that. What is it you told me, Gucci purse?
The Gucci purse, yes. The social worker, my social worker, every week got a new Gucci purse. I think it's an Italian designer called Gucci. Gucci, I think it's called Gucci. And it's an Italian purse that, some people are name slayers, and they like, fancy names. They think if they get a purse, that's worth a lot of money. Yeah, the name is worth a lot of money, but it's probably made in China. You're right. It's made in China. You're right.
They have like a code number. Like I found a Louis Vuitton purse, but
well, I'm going to have to end.
But it has a code number and all that. But
I got to end the podcast because it's over 8:00, and I've gone over my time. I have to end the podcast. It's over 8:00, and so I don't want to, but I always enjoy talking to you, Natalie, and thank you for your help. And thank you to all my listeners tonight. I don't know who you are because Natalie's the only one that came in and talked, and she did that. She even talked on the phone. And so I don't have anybody else that wrote in. I was hoping the South Africa lady would be, but I don't know what the time zone in South Africa is right now.
It must be like, I don't know, afternoon or something there.
No, I think it's evening the next day because Europe right now is the middle of the night. So South Africa, I think, is on the same time frame. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, that was quite interesting to have someone from another country. I mean, this week I've had Auckland, New Zealand, and then the North Cape of South Africa. And
they actually typed in, or they called in the Maori tribe?
Well, they texted in. They wanted to call in, but they tried the number. I gave them the country code 01, but it seems like the country code wasn't working. I don't know if there's another number you have to dial from other countries or not. I just know that our country code's 01. So you should be able to go 01 and then the number. But anyway, it's enjoyable. God bless you, Natalie. And God bless to all my listeners out there. And please take care of and keep fighting for your kids. I'll be on again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I look forward to hearing you. Don't forget, I'll be on again at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because my 7 o'clock podcast, I'll be at the football game Friday Night Lights. So I'll be there. So this is...
so that's 4 p.m., correct?
No,
Tomorrow.
actually 3 p.m. because it's a 2-hour drive.
Oh, okay.
And I asked for earlier time so I can leave because at 4 o'clock, I doubt very seriously I'll get there 5 by 6 o'clock, and the game starts at 7, and it's hard to find a parking space and a seat. So anyway, there'll be a short message from Vincent Davis. So this is Bob Pace signing off. Please listen to Mr. Davis.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.